Hello everyone, this is Tanya here from Edu TV and a very warm welcome to the Vice Chancellors Roundtable discussion today. It's truly wonderful to have all our respective Vice Chancellors and other panelists joining us today. We are really looking forward to an engaging discussion on how Indian universities can strengthen their global presence through research, rankings, and responsible leadership. A special welcome to our moderator for the day, Naman Rana, who will be guiding us towards today's conversation. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us. Let's get started. Naman, over to you, please.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Naman Rana. I'm a research engineer in Kisan Gas, and before that, I have studied from Coventry University, completing with the first degree in the whole of university, and I did automotive engineering and mechanical engineering before that in there. So I think that today's discussion is going to be quite fruitful, and everyone's going to enjoy it. So I think the first thing that I would like to know from every one of you is a short answer from everyone, like what in regarding to the future of the universities, and say how they can be the tool for the future rather than just a checklist nowadays. So if we can start, sir, from anyone who's be interested.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, sir,
Naman.
definitely. Please. Yes, sir.
So future of the university definitely is going to be in the line with the NEP 2021. Second is the quality educations. Not the university is saying that I am providing the quality education, but in the perception and the mind of the students, what they are having the some reactions about the actual quality educations. One.
Yeah.
Second, industry alignment is very, very important for any university because of the technology and now AI, things are changing very fast. So I will say there is little bit challenge for the university how frequently they can revisit their curriculum. But if you can have the some of the few sessions from the industry where they can share their experiences and the practices, what the changes they have brought to the industry, so that the students should be updated based on the quality educations and experience based learning. And
Agreed.
third is the, of course, the research. Research is something, if the university is not giving the focus, they cannot bring the some good teaching learning experience in the respective classrooms. Research is something where you can connect with the students with the update knowledge what is going in around. So these are the future of the university. Those who are seriously on this path, they will go ahead. Rest of the university has to face the consequences because of the too much competitions emerging, almost having the 1,000+ university now in India, and how we are going to face on these parameters. So
Agreed,
this is
sir.
my
Very
view.
well said. Very well said, sir. And I think that is something that we all need to be very aware about in terms of research and how that is going to be entailing and enticing the whole revolution of how the future is going to go ahead. If anyone would like to add any more into how the future of universities can be going and how it can be a
Naman,
tool of the future.
Naman, my suggestion is that
Naman,
instead of leaving everything open-ended, you
Yes, sir.
ask specific people to comment.
Yes,
Otherwise, it
sir.
will
Will
become
do.
very this.
Okay, okay, sir. Then, sure. Gaurav, sir, if you have anything to add into this, if I can have some of your feedback.
I think we just need to move really quickly based on the changing world. As the world is changing because of AI. Most of us
Indeed.
don't get AI and the changes it's going to cause. So NEP is one thing. I think with the changes that have happened, because NEP happened before the dawn of AI. Earlier instructor was the medium of information. Within internet, information became available to students and the role changed to a facilitator. Now,
Yeah.
going forward, I think even from that facilitator who was providing the meta structure to the information processing, the frameworks are being offered by the AI tools. I think the first thing is for all the people who are responsible for training and education to understand how the world is changing at a fundamental level. And I think NEP also would need a revamp very quickly. But the thing is that for universities to move forward in the game, you can't rely on what the government or the regulatory or the guiding bodies are doing. You need to be
Definitely.
the leader in the game, right? And if,
Agreed.
particularly if you're talking about competing in the global landscape, looking at NEP, I would say is slightly risky. We need to move really fast. That's all I would say at this point in time.
Agreed, sir. You said very well, sir, that AI is becoming such a prominent task taker from everyday jobs nowadays that it has been driving a lot of companies in both in the field of efficiency, but also in the field of being less empathetical and being more cold-hearted in the calculations, I would say. And this brings us to our next point, where we can see how AI is changing the employment and the opportunities that the kids would otherwise get. Tristan Harris, who's a very nice ex Google engineer, sir. He did very well, and in the explanation of all of this, in which he said that in the project Trinity, I think we all are aware of it, which is the nuclear bomb development. There were about 50 engineers, if I'm correct, the physicists, about 50 Nobel Prize engineers and physicists were involved in that project. And that project lasted for about 4 to 5 years during its peak development, where all 50 of them were working together. Compared to that, we know nowadays that ChatGPT and the GPT-4 LLMs and all these languages are working very fast, and they work 24/7. They don't need to rest. They don't need any nutritions. They can just continually keep on working, and they are capable of solving Nobel Prize level problems nowadays with their existing values. So it is like having an AI in comparison, which is a country full of prize winning Nobel Prize winners rather than just 40, 50 of them. And they're working relentlessly and ruthlessly, might I add. So in all of this, we can see that employment is becoming a very big issue, where the entry level jobs are being sort of replaced by all these AI models. Say in law firms, if you are a law intern who would be giving advices on what laws would be applied on the national level to a case, that is something that is already being given to AI. Similarly with management, similarly with engineering, and to say even some pharmaceuticals. In all of this, we are also seeing there's no stopping this. This is also not getting any slower, because in 2023 and 2024, ChatGPT had, sir, about $78 million invested into it, which would account over $100,000 each day for 2 years. Each day, about $100,000, which is about 80 lakhs in our price. 70, 80 lakhs is what is being invested each day to train those models. And for something like a Google Gemini, this raises over to about 4.5 crore each day. That is how fast they are training this, and we are not capable of keeping up with the training model that they have. So we have to think of things other than the desk-based jobs that we are currently training students for. Something like CS and IT is a very big part of where the kids go after doing their engineering. Even if someone is doing, say, electrical engineering, they'll straight go to apply for something like a Wipro and Cisco and all these companies. TCS is a great example of their hiring. But pretty soon, these jobs are also very endangered, because at an entry level, AI can already do that and is doing that. And the models are developing sooner and sooner. So in all of this, we recognize there's a threat to this.
वो ऑफ करके चार्जर दे दी
Yeah. So in this, we recognize that there is a threat to employment. And I think this is the right time for us to recognize where the issues are between the collaboration of industries and the universities, and to see, okay, the new ventures that we can explore other than, the basic desk jobs, because they are going to be having problem anyways. So uh, what sort of issues do we see, sir, in which you would like to list in terms of employment in things other than computer science and IT from an engineering field? Any of
Dr.
you?
Gupta, if we can have your views on this, please.
Yes, thank you. See, first of all, I think the importance of universities is that when a student leaves the school, he is a school leaver. And these 4 years which he spends in a university not just gives him the content of a particular field or anything, it also makes him from a school leaver to a full-grown adult,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of personality development, confidence building, his ability to participate in discussions, do have a leadership thing, have confidence in his own ability, work in a team, work by himself, respond in an office situation. There's a lot of such skills which gets built in these 4 years. So just if you by saying that these universities can be wished away, it is not going to be. Right?
Ag-
There would always be people who are kids grown up who needs to grow up into an adult. Right? There may be fast movers who may quickly go somewhere else or who knows what they want, but the majority would be people who need to be told still what to do. Let's come to the AI part of it. Yes, AI is again a disruption which is happening after a couple of decades, as always have been. And as always, it is disrupting many tasks. The difference has been that these disruptions are coming in very fast at a very high speed. And that is what is throwing people off faster than ever, right? However, and it is going to replace a lot of jobs as we know it, okay? Now, if you look back in the history, mankind has always been greedy. It always has a hunger for. If you give him this, all this, and say, this is already there, it's for you, it will think of something more to do. It will find some more applications for his mind and his abilities and everything. So we are in a transition. We are right now in middle of a disruption. Okay, it is going to continue anything from 1 year to 5 years. India is a difficult, particularly difficult country where I mean, even today, if you go on the roads of the most beautiful city of Delhi, you'll find everything from a bullock cart to a latest version EV running on the same road at the same time. So all technologies would continue to coexist. All level of people, all jobs would continue to coexist. It's not going to go away just like that, right? So let's take AI as an emerging change, as new tools, which is going to change many things as they exist today, but it's going to open doors for many more things which we can envision, right? So let's build on that. And creativity remains and critical thinking remains one of the major skills or abilities on which we can count. So let me stop here, Tanya, then we can take it more.
Yes, sir. So I think that is very well, sir, very beautifully said. And I think we all need to be prepared that yes, AI is going to be there. It's going to be a disruption, but it's not going to change the landscape so drastically so that there are no jobs. The jobs would still exist, but they'd exist in a manner that we are not aware of as of yet, or we haven't explored as of yet. Something that is left to be discovered and explored. And I think this is great time to I think where I can share some of my industry experience, where I can say I have worked in hiring, research, and technology development from something like a Formula One car in Mercedes AMG F1 in UK, and at the same time working in energy, green, renewable energy fields in India in Kisan Gas. And my designs and technology have been working in the as the forefront of technology, and have been discussing with the many MNCs and IPs at the same time. So I believe that the nature of industry is something that I have experienced right now. And in that, I guess I can tell why there's such a difference between the where the kid wants to go after graduation and where he cannot go because the industry, the way it cannot accept. Because the technologies are usually developed in the universities as projects, as research, what the student does. And then industry believes in the tried and tested new innovation so that it can just mass manufacture it. It it believes in mass commercializing of the new innovations that are already developed by the students, and these new students are the ones who are hired by by the industry because they are the ones who made it, so they can make it work. So this is the cycle where the students make something, the industry commercializes it, and industry hires the one who made it to commercialize it and refine it, and it keeps on going. In this, it makes sense that the industry doesn't expect the innovation to be done inside it, because as we all have heard, everyone says it, and that the industry doesn't have any time to teach because they're working on the commercialization of the new technologies. That is why there are many companies who don't have R&D centers of their own, because they already have students who have done the R&D and are just being commercialized right now at the moment. In the solution to this, we have come up with a solution. So I have taken an initiative as Rana Automotive Research, where we are discussing everything from as we discussed today, and uplifting universities to an Ivy League engineering powerhouse. What we would be doing, sir, is bringing technologies, working culture, and environment of NASA, F1, Porsche, and engineering excellent universities comparable to Caltech, University of Michigan, and MIT. We, Rana Automotive Research, are building a new research house slash lab. And why are we doing it? Because let's be honest, Porsche is not going to be building their own 911 in India at any time soon. And Lockheed Martin is not going to be building their aircrafts here as well. So we will be the ones who will be competing with them. How will we be competing with them? We have engineers and designers all across the globe, and myself as well, who would be building prototypes of these technologies each year. And if the students want to be a part of these on how to make their own cars, how to make their own aircrafts, their own engines, annually we'll be able to help them with our engineers under our guidance in the workshop and in the lab. And a lot of people may ask, why is it appealing for universities? Well, you can probably imagine that a lot of students who will be coming out of the universities will already have finished projects, who have worked on professional grade automotive and motorsports grade vehicles. They will have worked on full cars rather than just working on, say, a Formula Student car, which is basically like a 50% scale vehicle. They'll be working on actual prototypes. They'll be working on actual engines, building their own things, building their own jet engines, and building their own and designing their own vehicles, all under the guidance of our engineers and designers. And you can imagine when the next Auto Expo comes, your university's brand will be having a booth opposite to Porsche. Now that is a statement with the car that their students of the university and we will build together each year. So these assets of marketing will add up, the technologies will add up, and before the student even goes to a job and gets a job, they'll already have built something that the industry took years to polish and refurbish. And that is where I would like to say that this was heading towards. Any questions, sir? Ma'am? Any questions?
I think it would be a good idea to hear the opinion of Dr. Taruna and
Yeah,
Dr.
definitely.
on the matter. So
Yeah,
the question I said, but it would be great to hear their point of view as well.
yeah. I would like to hear from anyone who have any interest in research. We'll be doing it. We'll be We are building our first prototype this year, and we are very excited to launch this new race car slash sports car. We have been working on the project for past few years, and me personally have been coding that car by myself. And it's time, and it is about time that I'm building that I'm bringing in the hardware to actually build the vehicles. And these are not just vehicles or transportation forms. These are energy and technological demonstrators where we have technologies such as renewable energy, such as complex jet engines, such as solar power, how to build your solar panels, wind turbine design, blade turbine design, cars, aerodynamics, programming of the whole vehicle, and everything all together, delivered in the packages of drivable and flyable aircrafts and vehicles.
Thank you, Naman, for giving us an insight onto it. Dr. Taruna, I would want to ask you your opinion onto how, according to you, are industry partnerships important today? Talking about the university's perspective now.
So thanks, Tanya. Good work you're doing, Naman. Congratulations for that. See, you're talking about industry partnerships. So before we move on to industry partnerships, let's understand where do we as universities stand and why are we talking about industry partnerships? See, first of all, it's a hugely transformative age for universities to exist or to thrive. Three, four things which I right away see as an opportunity or maybe as a challenge is there's a lot happening in terms of higher education commission. The cabinet has already approved that. So that will change the entire regulatory, environment ecosystem of the universities. NEP already professor has already touched based upon. So, and third, when we look at, technology, many of my colleagues have already spoken about artificial intelligence. So when I see national education policy, I see one area where NEP, focuses upon is multidisciplinarity and skilling. Secondly, when you talk about artificial intelligence, you are talking about technology, which is transforming the entire gamut of things. Third, when we talk about, regulatory norms, we are saying that it is not going to be focused entirely upon, giving degrees. It will talk about more about research and other things. So when you focus on skilling, research, technology, all these three things are talking about employability of the graduates. Now, employability means they are going to be employed by the industry. So industry now has to play a major role. They have to be an important stakeholder in this whole process of skilling. That is where industry partnerships are very important. Naman was talking about, inviting students to, work on these areas. Now, when we look at global ecosystem, SDGs is something which everybody is talking about. Now, SDG is nothing which talks about an economy or an environment or, sustainability. It talks about our survival. So that means it talks about various problems that exist in the environment. So that is where industry partnerships and universities coming together will play an important role. One, in identifying the problem areas, two, solving those problem areas, and three, solving means you have to come together, which has to be research-based problem solving, environment which our students can get, and that is where industry partnerships will really help. Now, if I take an example, there is a company called Biocon, they have given students a lot of problems wherein the students go and work in their labs. Many universities, I admit, do not have that kind of lab infrastructure in their premises. That is where they can go to the industry premises or to go people like Naman who can provide that infrastructure support. And two, industry partnerships will really help because they will come and give maybe certifications, maybe training sessions, because that is where it is industry which knows what kinds of skill gaps exist. And that is what is the concern area, that the way universities are training the students doesn't meet the requirement of industry. So let the industry come and provide those skilling programs, and this ecosystem will help not only the universities but also the industry because they'll get a trained professional. So industry partnerships is really helpful, and we cannot move ahead without these partnerships, because till date India has been working on research which is just routine. I have to publish 10 papers, I'm publishing. Now we need to identify problem areas and let us see how these publications can create impact, can create problem solving approach, and that is where let this be led by both industry and universities. So it is imperative, it is need of the time It's not a debatable issue. It has to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, you spoke about research also. I mean, we've seen that universities do keep on pushing more towards the research point of view. But then, my next question, I would want to put it to you as well as to Dr. Abhay after this, that how do universities balance the pushing for strong research while also staying a bit socially responsible and student-centric, ma'am?
I think, each university should find their thematic area. What is the thematic area? Where do they need to focus upon? Now, if I talk, he was talking about renewable energy. Now, if I say that my university has to work in the area of sustainability, let me say, then let the faculty be told that in each of their research paper, this part of the story has to be woven. And what will be the impact that my papers will, create? Which problem area am I addressing? So whatever research papers that are getting published by the university professors, they should be taking approval in which area they're going to publish, what kind of impact they are going to look at, and if it should be screened seriously by a research committee, and that should approve whether this is a paper worthy of being, taken forward. And once it is done, then we should see as what kind of impact, because that is the only difference which we see in our universities or other universities globally, or for that matter, look at IIT Bombay. It talks about only innovations. It talks about, industrialization research. And Indian Institute of Science is another example. We have very limited universities which are very clear as to what kind of area of concern they are going to target upon. So it's instead of this run of the mill of the research paper, writing research paper for the sake of writing research paper with no social impact, with no clarity that what kind of, area my research paper upon, should be withheld, and let there be a strong screening before the research is published and incentivized by the universities. Because I see most of the universities now, given the need of research, they have started giving huge incentives to the faculty. We are giving incentives, but let's see whether these research publications are worthy of those incentives, rather than, looking at only rankings. So rather than chasing rankings, let's look at the knowledge creation. That is where I see.
Thank you so much, Dr. Taruna. Before we move to Dr. Abhay, Naman, would you want to add anything to this? Considering you are from the industry perspective.
Yeah, I think, ma'am, it is actually quite nice that the education sector is and the universities are starting to think about how the research needs to be more impactful. I think one thing that I would like to add is that the writing of research is actually quite nice, but something that would be much appreciated would be the having prototypes, like physical prototypes that work. That would be actually quite interesting to see, because say my experience has been in the study of UK, and that is where I have been studied already. And there the projects are only eligible to a first class degree only if they have a prototype which has been validated by the engineers in the university labs. And the engineers in the university labs uh, come through a sort of back and forth with the university and the industry, where they both of them put the money together to make a joint JV campus and a JV workshop lab, where the engineers of the industry are guides to the students that are already in it, and which flows into actually what we are trying to do as well as the research company, which is having this connection between the industry and the universities, so that our engineers can teach their students and we can all build prototypes rather than having the theoreticals. We focus solely on what actually matters, which is the prototypes and how effective they are in the real world.
Thank you,
I
Naman.
think,
Dr. Abhay, can we have your views on this, please?
yeah, can I have some?
Dr. Avikesh, can I come to you after Dr. Abhay, please? Because
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Thank you. Abhay sir, you're on mute.
So I think
Dr. Abhay, you are on mute. You will have to unmute
Okay,
yourself.
I am not on mute now. I tried to unmute myself a number of times, and maybe you had unmuted it from your own self. Okay, anyway, thanks for this say panel discussion today, Tanya, and of course, Mr. Pranav and Edu TV, and Naman, you are doing the thing excellently today. So I'm very happy to see a plethora of such eminent panelists here today with us. Okay, given the opportunity, I'll be very plain in one or two aspects. First thing is, does the industry want to come to the university or not? First thing, as you said, Naman, they take a 2 or very cautious steps while coming to the university. Because, for example, with our university, Pratap University in Jaipur, we are based in a rural background. Okay, the surveys that we do are mostly attuned to what the rural areas nearby require. Our research is based on that. Like, for example, in the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan initiative, we have taken such surveys and such research works, which we have given to the students as well as the faculty members. Second thing is that as far as industry assistance goes, initially, long back, I must say about 15, 16 years back when I was dean in a university, a group of our students made a solar car, which was unheard of that time, 15, 16 years. The industry was very cautious. They said it's not possible. We will not fund it. Just give you an example. Because they were afraid this is not going to happen. The university funded it to some extent. That group of students are now with a wonderful organization with a paid up capital of crores of rupees in India. They are arranging for, say sports vehicles. They have got tie-ups with Mahindras and many other sports organizations. We are manufacturing sports vehicles. So they are doing wonderfully well. So the point is, sometimes the industry is too cautious of the universities. In the university, where do we get our students from? The schools. So whatever input we get from the schools, we have to do over time to churn them up into the level which we think they must be on. So from the rural areas and the rural schools, the type of quality of students we are getting right now, our faculty members are working overtime to do something for them, to do something in terms of research which they can do. It's not that every student can go ahead and do a research on atomic, say, particles and things like that. So now the point is, second thing I was coming to is that there should be a branding and narrative which we often ignore. Our research work must be shown to the people. What our students are doing. Most of the research work, let it be PhD by the faculty members or whatever it is, they are limited to the library. Nobody knows what sort of research has been done, and the industry sometimes doesn't want to. So what we did, say during the COVID period, I'll give an example. We had talked to many industries, and of course, I have been in the industry in the past for 16 years or so. So I had good contacts, but even those friends of mine who were MD in organizations like Asian Paints and all, they were very, say, cautious and wary of helping the students or helping the university. What I did personally was, I had a defunct alumni association when I had joined here. And the alumni were very cautious. They were afraid. The university has not done anything for me. So I personally used to have, say, online meetings with them, and I touched base individually and personally with more than about 200 of my alumni. Now, these alumni were well placed in the industry, but they didn't want to do anything for the organization. So I asked them not to help us. In turn, I asked how we can help you right now. Any certificate course which you require. Because, you can say delete the name. You cannot delete the name of your parents from your resume. And likewise, you cannot delete the name of the school and the institution or the university from your resume forever. So remember that. So that seeped in. So we gave them online certifications free of cost. It cost us almost 30,000 rupees per certification or per student. But we gave them free. Because you have to give a helping hand first, and then you can ask something from them. Then they came to the university, we honored them. These students are helping our students by coming to us in the middle-level management of various industrial, say, setups. They are helping our students not only in terms of what new technology they can, say, go ahead with, but what sort of research industry requires right now. The holidays they are getting, for even 4 days to 5 days time, I have asked them to spend us here. I am giving them place to stay, a nice place to stay, go around in Jaipur and have a nice time. So, it has to be a symbiotic thing. That means if you want industry to come, you have to give them something, and the industry must also put a helping hand forward. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
Please, if you want to say something. No. Okay, anyway. Now, talking about the rural background, for example, I'll say that there are many, say, villages here in which the females, especially in Rajasthan, in the Gungat, they don't know how to run a mobile phone positively because the males don't give them that. Neither a laptop is a thing which they have never dreamt of. My NSS team, my students went to them and taught them how to learn say working on a laptop, how to do as a survey of their own village. And they are doing it for us and sending their inputs. Those inputs I have already sent to the government agencies in Rajasthan. Because what input these ladies have given us were very different from what the Patwaris and the Sarpanch gave to the government. So the data was very different because it was a real on-ground data. Now, what I mean to say is that whenever, for example, say positioning any Indian university on the global map is really, in my opinion, about one thing, that is credible, visible excellence. Now, how do we achieve it? Research output and global rankings, for example, are central to it, but they're not the whole story. We have to change ourselves. You know, the faculty members, they suddenly developed skills during the COVID period. We all know that. We have talked in hundreds of webinars regarding what the COVID period did for us. And of course, with Tanya and Pranavji, we have attended so many webinars and seminars with them. Now, when you talk about technology, I personally feel that in this era, it is always a transition period. When we say that, no, this is the era of transition of technology, it is not so. It has always been and it will always be a transition period. Every 6 months, technology is changing. When we have an EV, a car, for example, there are new features attached to it. So whether it is the industry or the students in there, like for example, when we talk about Porsche, you have to somehow rekindle the model to have the say a real feedback from the customers that they would actually relish having these new features. That customer research has to be done initially. That consumer research has to be done initially. Now, who will do that research? I think the industry must come forward and ask the students of various universities to do that. And the students will be able to do it. I am very confident of that. You know, those students who even don't know proper English, they are very good researchers with us. They are very good researchers with us. So let's come to one point with clarity. With clarity that research work is not limited either to any college or university or any era. It is a continuous process, and we have to keep on the research process, whether it is a small research project, whether it is a big one leading to a development of a car, and the car cannot be developed in one day.
Yeah.
I have seen many students of mine in past universities and even in this who have just developed a small prototype of a car spare part. That spare part has been launched in Chennai in a factory. They have accepted it and they have employed that student.
Brilliant.
They wouldn't like to give him some say trademark say payments in that respect. They said, you come and stay with us, work with us, and they gave them a say an agreement of almost 10-15 years that we will not retrench you if you keep on doing this. So these things have to take place in a day-to-day activity. The faculty initially have to be first taught about how to get the research done. Then only can it happen. And the industry has to step in. Thank you so much.
Very rightly said, sir. Very rightly said. Dr. Ravikesh wanted to add something. Dr. Ravikesh.
I think what the Naman would like to indicate, I would like to take that particular part, because the today's learning should not be limited to the classroom learning, and how the skill-based learning should be focused more from the university. So KSA approach, knowledge is something the student is not very eager to be in the class, but apart from the knowledge, I'm not saying the knowledge is not required, but apart from the knowledge, how skill and attitude is being focused, and whatever he has shared, that the how the student should be involved, particularly with some live projects working with the industry where they are working on some prototype, moving forward working with the engines, they're moving forward working with the industry on a real project. That is the something which is very much required to give the such type of learning where the today's students, these Gen Z are looking for. Now, if you are talking about the research is something is a very vaguely and very casually people are using. And I heard that because of this ranking, some research machine has been developed by many university where the professors are publishing like anything. And I have a one university partner in UK, in Europe, and just for example, I'm sharing to all of you that he has been hired as a dean for that particular university in Europe. And the moment he came to know that he has published 27 paper in the last year, immediately they fired him. Just imagine what is the meaning of the research. So this type of research is required. And I'm also hearing the A is doing research and B is taking the class. There is no connectivity between the research and the teaching learning experience. What is this research? So we have to seriously, as an academician, we have to seriously think about what we are doing. So this is something I wanted to add.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravikesh. Naman, do you want to take add on to anything to this before we move forward, please?
I think sir absolutely hit the nail on the head. I would say that was absolutely spot on. Like the human brain is not entirely, you know, trained for reading. Reading is not a natural thing that a human brain does. Working on projects, breaking a hand or breaking a nail or something, breaking a tool and then learning from it, that's an iterative process that a human brain goes through each and every time. It's a cyclic process, and because of that being a cyclic process of learning, that is where the that is where the physical skills come in. First you try, say we have a model for a lever, right? And we design a lever which is quite nice. The moment you pull it and it breaks, that's how you know, okay, there's a problem in the strength of it. You know it iteratively. You don't learn about it, you don't study about it, you just know that there is not enough strength in it. So you start designing for strength. And this is the kind of iterative process and generative design process that we are trying to introduce to everyone and all the students. Like, it is okay to not get the things right at the first time. It's fine, because engineering in general has always been and always will be an iterative cyclic process of improving and error and trial. I think yeah, that is about it. Yeah.
I think
Thank
we
you.
have a technology and an AI expert amongst us. It would be good to hear his views. Sachin sir, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav. I think this has been a great discussion, sitting with the esteemed panel of university vice chancellors. I would like to tie this all together based on what I've heard. I've worked in the corporate for about 30 years, having worked for the largest bank of the world and largest telecom company of the world. I've also been to IIT and to NYU for my education, and then I now help students, for their higher education journey. So, in that context, when we talk about research, I think a lot of great points have been made. But ultimately, having heard all the dynamics at play of AI, the lack of jobs and stuff like that, what we want to create at universities is basically risk takers. Whether those risk takers, go to jobs and do well for them in life, whether they create startups, because there also you need risk takers, whether they do more research, they go for higher education in the top universities of the world. So ultimately, this culture that we are talking about of research and their ability to engage with the things like that Naman is developing. So I would say that we need to just look at the education system from a very basic level. We in our society have developed a sort of a fear of failure, right, as a culture. So as we develop our education system from the grassroots, we need to first get need to get rid of fear of failure, because that fear of failure is not just about students, it's also about our faculty, our entrepreneurs which are running those universities. So until we can percolate that culture of risk taking and not having the fear of failure across the ecosystem, whether it is industry, whether it is academicians, or whether it is students, or in any stakeholder. So in that context, I would say Naman's project is a great initiative if it can build that culture among the whole ecosystem. I would say you should even think about gamifying it, or maybe creating a competition among the universities where students get excited to participate in that competition through your labs and technologies. Okay, because that's what the new generation wants. So it gives them an exposure to the technology you're talking about. They maybe take some risk and build something on top of that, and then you create competition, a healthy competition. So those are some of the things I would say come to my mind. One of the things I heard, I think from Dr. Ravikesh or some other gentleman, showcasing of the work they are doing, whether it's research or whether it is your skill building projects, technologies. I know like Stanford University does a great job of showcasing every research that their student do. They put it in such a nice manner in their university campus that and people are invited from across the city with the Silicon Valley, where people come and see what work was done by the master students. I, I'm not aware whether it is, I may not be aware, but I have not heard of it being done in a very large way in the Indian universities. So we need to create that pride, that risk-taking capability for these kinds of new things. Otherwise, they remain in
I
the
think
realm
some
of
of
the, yeah.
To add to what you're saying, I think some of the private universities are doing that. It's not been a part of the culture in the past because
Okay.
hierarchy difference between the faculty. I mean, I had the good fortune of visiting Dr. Gupta's setup at World University of Design. There was so much of students' work which is displayed there, and that gets the environment, suddenly very.
We have an
Yeah.
annual show which we call as Made in Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, now design, I've heard about the WUD. So design is what one field where that showcasing is the way to go. There is no other way, because that's how you get feedback. That's how you create the buzz around that design. So absolutely. And I think the students also will get trained in the process how to succinctly put across the idea behind the project. They can write hundreds of pages of a report for that research, but when it comes to an elevator pitch of 1 or 2 minutes, that's what the chance they get in those kinds of events. So all are related things. But I'll come back to my old point, which is we all need to be risk takers, and the fear of failure has to be taken away. And it starts from childhood and goes up to the entrepreneur which is running the university.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sachin sir, for your inputs. Dr. Gupta, if we can have your closing remarks, please.
See, I would continue where Dr. Garg was saying. But you see, any student community, unless you plan a university in that manner, it would be a diverse community. In a class of a mechanical engineering department, not everybody would have a research mindset. Not everybody would have a product design development mindset. There will be people who would just want to do a graduation and then do a job. There will be people who will become entrepreneurs. So you have to understand that it's a mix. Even in a specialized university like us, where everybody coming to us is planning to be a designer, okay, of a specific field also. So if he's keen on fashion, he's coming to fashion, right? I know I'm from IIT and I know I stay in IIT. I know all the batches and everything. And my reading for many years has been that for last 20 years, there were just two departments in IIT, computer science and those who want to get into computer science. Right? All others were unhappy students.
Correct, very correct.
Agreed.
Even in computer science department, which was, let us say, 100 students, they were all toppers from various parts of India. But when they get into IIT, somebody would be ranked 20th. In a class, when a test happens, not everybody would come number one. And all 100 of them are used to coming number one.
The same thing was said for IT, sir. There are IITians and there are those who want to be IITians.
So this is a mindset. If you do not give options, so and as educators, if we do not understand that everybody would have a different mindset and provide provisions for each one of them to follow their path, then it would be difficult. We would always run into problems.
Absolutely. Very well said, sir. In fact, I would go to the extent of saying that even if majority of the class is going to go for a job, we need risk takers in jobs as well. This is why we cannot create great technology in Infosys, Wipros of the world, because we don't have risk takers in the jobs also.
Absolutely.
So ultimately, risk-taking capability is required. Maybe it's more for a startup owner or a researcher, but at the end of the day, I would say it is still required to some extent to for the new world that we are talking about.
Another thing which I just want to tell you is, we have also an intellectual property rights, right? Now, it is all very well for us to say that everybody should come up with innovation and showcase and get feedback. But it also gets copied, and the ideas also get picked up. And ideas don't have a copyright, right? Anybody can pick up your idea and go and make it. So there has to be a balance of at what level can you showcase and get feedback, and at what level you need to first protect your copyright and then go into the market.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that I did not hear any of those people you're saying about IP. So I just thought I put it.
Absolutely, sir. There should be a formal patent filing process in the universities. I myself have two patents in my name. But that was all in my American job. In Indian companies, they don't encourage for filing
As a
of
university, we
patent
filed
process.
80 patents last year.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
very good. That's
Brilliant,
great,
sir.
sir. That's great.
Tanya, I want to add something here.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Taruna.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the theme of this discussion, which says positioning Indian universities on the global map, research rankings and responsibilities. So I was just thinking that, we've got a fair idea about research and we all know the pain points of research across universities. Some are pain points, some are good opportunities as well. But when we talk about rankings, it's an important part of your panel discussion wherein we say that none of the Indian universities fare in the top 10, top 100 ranking, when it
Yes.
is QS.
Very big issue.
So
Yes, ma'am.
the closest is 123rd rank, which is, IIT Delhi. So that yeah, that means there is something which is not so good happening in the university ecosystem wherein we are not even a single university is amongst top 100. And
Yeah.
research is certainly an important area wherein I think research has not been targeted the way it has to be targeted. But as an administrator, as the head of the institution, the challenge which I see is that research is very important, but how are we looking at the teaching? What kind of impact we are looking at in the classes? That is where the way we are moving forward, there's a huge challenge with universities to get higher rankings in whether it is NBA or NAC or NIRF rankings, that they're focusing a lot on research. I'm not talking about the impact, I'm not talking even about the quality of research, but what is happening at the teaching front is a challenge for me. Most of the faculty members have taken it as a second priority. That is where the major problem which is coming up. How are we going to incentivize the teaching? How are we going to train our faculty to create better teaching environment in the class? How do we look at mentoring? That area is getting, a second let priority because of this focus on research. It has to happen, but I am finding teaching is becoming a challenge. Although we are talking about technology-led classrooms, tech-led classes, that is where there's a lot which needs to be thought about, and responsibility when we talk about, yes, as an institution, other area as a responsibility. If I look at responsibility as a parameter of this discussion, I see mental health of my students taking a major hit. Out of 10, I'm not, exaggerating, but one out of 10 student is going through mental health because of these pressures, whether it is pressure, whether it is technology or other areas, financial, family, environment, competition, peer group competition. So as a university, research is one area, but students, teaching, health, mentoring is equally important, which as an administrators, we have to start focusing upon. Because, we used to say that America has the most depressed youth. We are also not far away. So, we also have to, think in this direction.
These very critical points, ma'am. And maybe this session is ending. I would like to get in touch with you one-on-one separately because we worked on some of this. This brings us to student-centric, delivery instead of top-down delivery. Some thoughts on it. I'll share it with you later. Over to you, Tanya. You want to close this? Yeah.
No, I'll just make one intervention, Tanya.
Yes, sir, sure.
Uh, I mean, Dr. Taruna has brought in some relevant thoughts, but you see, Dr. Taruna, ranking is not something we should
Mm.
worry too much about. Even the best, you said IIT has just come into this. Even though IIT took almost 8 years to get into it, and by focusing on very specific targets. See, the problem is that their metrics, a large part of it is something where we can never score. For example, they say number of international students on campus. How can IITs have international students on campus when J is not conducted outside? Number of international faculty on campus. You have a faculty, Indian faculty, whom you pay a certain grade and everything. The moment you bring in international faculty who can be of the same grade but get paid higher, and you create a disharmony here, you never do, right? So there, I'm just quoting two of them. There are 20 such parameters where even if we want, we will never be able to score. So saying that we are not as good as international institution is not correct. Because the
No,
parameters which
no,
are
no,
being
no, no. I never meant that we are not good as that. What I meant to say is that major part of the rankings, if you see whether it is QS or THE, it focuses a lot on impactful research. So the point which I'm raising here is there may be a possibility somebody was talking about we are doing a lot of impactful work, but the way we are documenting it, that is where it is missing out. Many private universities are doing a lot of impactful work, but it's not getting documented the way it should be documented. So probably we need to bring in that system wherein, people are trained enough that every activity which is, getting done, whether at public or private universities, get documented. And two, most of the research I feel that we are doing not from the engineering background, non-engineering background also, the impact that has to be done. So we can be much more, scientific in our approach. Nowhere I meant to say that our universities are not great, but
my
we
mistake.
need
Thank
to,
you.
yeah. And secondly, our Indian knowledge system, we were always ahead, far ahead when it comes to scientific approach. It's just that we need to go back and relook or, introspect ourselves as to how do we present ourselves when it comes to international community. The Professor Sanjay, I'll tell you, when I was in Denmark for one of the conferences, I felt so, disturbed about the fact that most of the things that they're talking about, it's for long that we have been doing. Probably it's not going the way it should be, portrayed in the towards the international communities is what I'm just thinking about.
Yeah, very well said. I think just participation in the rankings process is a lot of effort, which some of the top IITs don't want to put that much of effort. So I think there needs to be, I guess, more effort on part of the universities to like for documentation and participation itself.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your inputs. Before we conclude the session, Taruna ma'am, you mentioned about documentation. So my question was, what's one change you believe that Indian universities should start implementing immediately to strengthen their global standing? Documentation is one you mentioned. What else?
So I represent private universities. I'll talk on behalf of private universities. Retention has to be looked at very seriously because instead of, process driven, most of the times things become person driven, If I am there, there is a process. The moment I leave, the process get punctured and the other person comes and reinstate. And in between the transitions, a lot of data gets, leaked out. So that is one point. And two, most of us are not well trained as to how and what we should document. So technology can play a very important role in supporting and aiding in terms of documenting each and every activity which makes sense for whether it is ranking or impact or any other area.
Thank you so much,
I'll
ma'am.
say that
Yes.
I'll say that the graduate outcome as well as the problem-based research, these two things I think university should focus.
Right, sir.
Abhay, sir.
No, in fact, I agree to a great extent with Dr. Taruna said that being a private university vice chancellor, I also face one big problem. A research work is commenced and a senior faculty moves away because he's being paid 20,000 more somewhere. Now what to do? That research work is half done and a new faculty or a new dean who comes after say about 2, 3 years or 4 years, he or she does not agree with what is being done. He wants to modify and change the entire structure. So those 1 or 2 years are lost, basically. So we have to talk about retention. We have to talk about how AI or other aspects can help us in keeping that research work in a say bouquet with us, so that people who come transition can be easy for them. New people can take up from that part onward. When we talk about research, we are mostly talking about students. What our students are doing. We have talked about mostly about students. Now, what about our faculty members? It becomes a big problem for us in private universities. Young faculty members, I'll tell you, we have a very good pharmacy school here. Now, assistant professors in pharmacy come to us. Pharmacy faculty are in good demand as soon as the portal opens. Now, what happens is that transition is from one university to another is frequent. Howsoever good a university may give them as a step say forward, they know that I'll be very good if I stay here for the next 10 years. I'll be taken care of. But they damn care for that. I use that word. They just want their salary to be hiked. That is the only thing.
It shows, sir, that the future lies with the private university space because
Okay.
there's a lot of churn. Some of these things are just teething troubles. I think we'll be fine over a period of time.
No, we are doing our best. And as I told you, some of our faculty and our students have done wonders. I can give you examples. Like, for example, if not on the national or the international level, at least on the regional level, we have been showcasing this to the higher education department. We even have got district magistrates and secretaries who have come to our universities and we have told them what the students are doing, especially in the rural areas. The perspective here is rural. What technology can do in these rural areas to change the lives of the villagers. This is one aspect we have taken up very seriously and on which research is being doing continuously.
Impactful as well. So
Yes,
I mean,
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Abhay, sir. Sachin, sir, your opinion on this, please. One change you believe in universities should start implementing immediately to strengthen their global standing. One change only, please.
I would say that the way universities advertise their outcomes needs to be more versatile. Not only the jobs those people are taking, which higher education institutions, the global higher education institutions they're going to after studying in their university. The third is what kind of research they are doing. So though this is and what kind of startups are coming out of that ecosystem. So the parameters have to be balanced and in all directions rather than just jobs focused outcomes for the graduates.
Thank you, sir. Dr.
my
Gupta.
thoughts are that we need to set up AI centers of excellence and on campuses because the transition is just too dramatic. Over to you, Danya.
Dr. Gupta, if we can have your closing comment on this thing, please. One change that the university should consider.
I think Dr. Gupta got busy. Yeah.
Yes, right. Right. Over to you, Naman. If you can please conclude the session for us, please. 1 minute conclusion. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, everyone. It has been a wonderful time talking to every one of you. We have exchanged some really brilliant ideas regarding all the three topics, whether it be research, ranking, and responsibilities. And now we have a very nice, clear guidance path towards where we are seeing ourselves in the future, whether it be AI, whether it be rankings, whether it be, physical labs and abilities and skill developments. I think we have achieved a great accomplishment today. So thank you, everyone, and congrats on everything that we have achieved today and exchanging our thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Naman.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
ma'am.
everyone. Thank you, Tanya. And
Thank you.
everything.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. Thank you to all our panelists for sharing their valuable insights. And thank you, Naman, for guiding the discussion so smoothly. On behalf of Edu TV, I appreciate your time and appreciation and participation to this session. Please, Tanya signing off from Edu TV.
Bye.
Thank you.